right. Hello and welcome, Turtle Riders 2. Uncle Turtleboy's Basement Podcast, I think we're calling this. Let's see. Come on, is this? All right, cool. Uncle Turtleboy's Basement Podcast, Late Night Garage Podcast, whatever you want to call it. Sorry about the delay. We were supposed to go at 9:30, but of course the Bruins went to overtime. I'm sure a lot of us were watching that. How great is it to be from Boston? All right, or whatever you want to call it, Boston proper. God obviously loves us more. He would not treat us like this. The Celtics just swept the Pacers, no problem. They're going to beat the Bucks pretty easily. I know it. All right, and I'm honestly surprised by the Bruins. I thought you guys know that I picked the Leafs. I was wrong. I'm sorry about that. I'll never do that again. I just thought it was the year. And in this game tonight, that second goal there, that was just unacceptable for that to go in for Tuukka. He's got to be better than that. But, it felt like Game 6 of the 2013 Stanley Cup, right? When they scored like twice in a row like that, it's like, oh, Jesus Christ. But hey, they're resilient, man. They came back. And it's not even the Stars that are doing it. It's the freaking third and fourth liners. It's awesome. Great to be a Boston sports fan. The Bruins are actually favored to win the Stanley Cup right now. Favored. Now that the Capitals have been eliminated. They are the Las Vegas odds-on favorite to win the entire thing. So, without further ado, let's get to what we really wanted to talk about here today, and that is my day-to-day, basically. I want to talk about this, because I wrote a blog today. I'm sure a lot of you guys have read it. It was honest and open about what's going on behind the scenes, because I feel like there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that we don't fill you in on, and so you honestly might not know about the troubles, that we're facing with the blog. I don't know why this isn't recorded anymore, but there it is. All right. So either way, we got it on YouTube, so it doesn't really matter. So I wanted to fill you guys in about the situations that we're having, with the blog. And so I woke up today, and there was a court hearing going on with the Jennifer, I don't know how you pronounce it, Adziana, I think they call it the Dartmouth Yoga Poon. Right, that's what a lot of you guys know her as. I mean, nobody cares about this woman, and she was blogged about in October of 2017. It feels like forever ago. Like, we had the Facebook page back then. That's all you need to know. And then she made Ratchet Madness, but, Ratchet Madness is just like a recap of things that have happened. Nothing new comes out of it. Whatever. So, this woman has been, sues a lot of people. She's sued a lot of people in the past. She has the resources and the time to do it. She initially hired a lawyer who didn't seem like this case was going anywhere with him. I don't know if he wasn't being aggressive enough or something. And she dropped him. I don't know why or if he quit. I don't know the details behind that, but he's not there. And then she hired Aaron Hernandez's murder attorney, the guy that got him off on the second double homicide charge that Aaron Hernandez against him. Now, this guy is notorious. Just Google George Leontire, like New Bedford, and you will see some of the antics this guy has been, and he's always involved in drama like this. Right? This is how this guy makes a living. I'm sure he does quite well for himself because, he's a lawyer. He's like one of those lawyers that represents people like this, takes their money, and it ties up the court system with frivolity, essentially. Right? The crux of their case is that she was called in the blog that she's quote-unquote basically a prostitute. That was one thing. And when I was deposed, although I did not write that statement, I did not take it down either. And I said under oath that my reasoning for that when he asked was that I believe that's an opinion. Right? And he said, no, it's a fact. And I said, well, the word basically means it's an opinion. Right? You're basically a prostitute. Not you are a prostitute. It's basically. Right? And so, in my opinion, when interpreting that, it was an opinion, right? Because I don't know how else to describe that. If you are this woman, I don't know how old she is, mid-30s maybe. Not a bad-looking girl, but she's with this guy who is like 5'3". I don't even know. Probably weighs 100 pounds. I don't know. He's extremely small, and he's like 80 years. I don't know. I don't want to say 80. But probably late 70s, I would assume. And he's this Greek guy, and he's filthy rich. He owns like half of the South Coast. And he's sued a lot of people as well. He spent a little time in jail. He did a little tax evasion. And I find it impossible to believe that she would be with this guy were it not for his money, right? And she doesn't just marry him, like she shows it off, like gets lavish. She shows herself in Gucci in stores, with guns shooting off, bills out of a gun, like it's bizarre. It's like a caricature looking at it, like this can't be real life, but it is. And she owns this yoga studio, and the yoga studio is like she opened it up across the street from another yoga studio called Ritual Sweat Society in Dartmouth. And they're being sued as well. Their owner, Tara Winterhalter, if you Google her, she's been involved in this specific type of yoga for a long time. I don't know much about yoga. I've just kind of started learning about it through this lawsuit. But I guess this type of yoga, you need to be, licensed or, have a specific type of training to teach it. Now, Jennifer might have it, but what was accused in the blog, right, was that a lot of people were coming to us back when we had the Facebook page, messaging us saying this woman doesn't have, like her teachers are not trained to teach this, essentially. And that she's rude, and that it's extremely crowded in there, and that she's just unprofessional, and she says, namaste, bitches, and really just unprofessional stuff. And then we also published a video that was sent to us via the Facebook page. We get a lot of messages, so it's hard to remember where we got each thing. But it came through, and it showed her, barging into the, I would call it, the rival studio across the street, and with a friend of hers, and just acting ratchet. She accused these women of racism as well. I don't even remember her reason why, but she said she wasn't doing booty yoga anymore because of racism, essentially. That white people had stolen this type of yoga, even though she's Iranian. That makes no sense. But so she's allowed to teach it. I don't know all the details, but bottom line is she barged in there, and she was said, quote unquote, like, wash your hair. I forget if she said bitches or not, like wash your hair. It was just disparaging and ratchet and rude. I remember being asked under oath, like how would you define ratchet? And I'm like, that video, that's ratchet behavior. That's just an opinion. So he's suing me for these things. These are opinions, all right? And on top of that, you need to prove malice with a libel lawsuit when it's a public figure. And he argues this woman's not a public figure. She's on billboards all over the South Coast. We got pictures of them, right? LA Booty Yoga. She's everywhere. She's definitely a public figure. She dates a guy who is arguably a public figure because of or is married to him now, because arguably how involved he is in, the local economy and business and stuff like that. So, anyway, this lawsuit, George has been really aggressive about it lately, and, Margaret Milliken is a saint. She is a great lawyer. She's very sharp. But she does this all for free. She doesn't have to. She volunteered to. And because she's just a good person who believes in the blog and believes in free speech, and she helped me. Like Mike Gaffney dragged her through hell and back. There was Gordon Davis before that. She's worked behind the scenes with the Talib Kweli lawsuit and this other lawsuit involving Hampshire College and this woman named Laura Larson after her son was featured in a blog. And so she really has done a lot, but she's burnt out, I'm not going to lie. And it's because of people like George Leontire that she gets burnt out. Now, what's she in New Bedford for today? There was a motion, I believe, I want to say this, to force me to give up my hard drive to my computer so that his computer expert can look at it, right? My iPhone, access to my Gmail, to my Yahoo accounts, to my Skype accounts, to my Facebook accounts, Clarence, Philip, some of these, they're not even my accounts. I didn't create these accounts. People just let us borrow accounts when other accounts get suspended. They're not actually ours. But they want access to all of these things. It's insane, right? Now, I don't want to give those up because there's private messages on there. Like, people who message us often message us anonymously, right? With the understanding. They come to us because this is a major violation of their trust, right? It's reporters' privilege. You don't have to give up your sources. That's how this works. That's how journalism works, right? Richard Nixon had to resign from office because of an anonymous source, right? Called Deep Throat, of all things. So, stop it. Stop it with, like, he wants all this stuff. It's just such an invasion of privacy and just such a douche move on his part to think that he gets access to that stuff. Like, I'm not working too. Like, I have time for his games. Like I use this computer every day for my business. And I don't have time to just give it up so he can play around with his stupid lawsuits. Are you kidding me? So, he's just, this is basically a form of harassment, what they're doing. And Margaret is extremely burnt out by it because Worcester's nowhere near New Bedford. And she's got to drive down there for this. And, she's a little sick right now. She doesn't want to deal with this. Right? And she thought this would be, when she volunteered, we'll just get this dismissed because this is absurd, this lawsuit. But here we are. So, basically, I'm like looking at it. I'm like, if Margaret can't do this, right? If she can't represent me in this case, because she, straight up told me, like, I need help with this. I can't continue to do this. I need to make a living as well. And I totally get that. And I feel awful. I feel terrible about this. And so I'm like thinking, it was depressing getting that. Because on top of other things, yesterday, Rev content, which is our, we've had a lot of problems with ad network, losing them. We lost Google AdSense, right? Taboola, like a bunch of these places have blacklisted us because these people report us to them and say we're hate speech, and they probably don't even look into it. Rev content was my primary ad revenue source, and I just got an email from them. They're gone. They're just like, they don't give no reasons why. They're just like, we're terminating your account. Like, imagine that, like, every day you're just like, whoa, you're just not getting paid. It's like, I don't get, like, a 2-week warning. Find a new, it's like, you're just done. Okay, so that's my line of work. And so that sucked. And then I wake up, and I don't want to, whine about it to you guys or anything because I hate to be that guy. I'm just not bred like that, to be that guy that complains and stuff like that. But I had to be honest. I can't pretend. I can't put on this front like everything's going fine when it's not. So what I ended up doing, the next day I woke up and I get this email from Margaret. And it's depressing to read this because she's stressed out by it. And this guy is so rude. He's like almost in a threatening manner. Like we almost walked out of the deposition because of how out of control he was and unprofessional he was. It was absurd. So anyway, this is all going on. And I'm like, what am I going to do here? So I spent most of my day today contacting free speech organizations, free speech attorneys, the ACLU, the EEF, some people like that, talking to intake people, sending out emails, stuff like that. I'm like, what am I going to do? I got to write about this. The only way this can get fixed is the best thing that we have going for us at Turtleboy Sports is you people. That's it. Without you, we're shit. We're absolutely nothing. Okay? We value you more than you can possibly imagine. Without you, we're nothing. Can't emphasize that enough. Nothing. And we're like, we got to bring it to the people. We have to tell them what's going on and leave it up to them. And let them know the things that we need. All right? And those things were outlined, in the blog, right? For instance, we need where is it at here? Yeah. So these are the things that I listed here. Number one, an attorney who truly believes in free speech and is willing to do some pro bono work in order to fight speech bullies like Joe Giuliani. So when they sue the company, right, the LLC protects me from personal liability. That's the whole point of having an LLC. But I'm being sued individually anyway, which is bizarre. It seems pointless to have an LLC if they can just do that to you. But anyway, the guy really wants to find out who Western Mass Turtle Girl is. That's the bottom line. And so that's why he wants access to my WordPress account and my emails and all this stuff, because he wants to look up the IP addresses on these people, which George, if you look at my dashboard, you're going to be sorely disappointed when you get on there, because that's not how WordPress works. I can't find out the IP addresses of bloggers. That's not how it works. I can see the IP address of commenters, but all they give you is like a 20-mile radius, right? Sometimes my IP address picks me up in Paxton. I live like 8 miles from Paxton, right? It doesn't give you a pinpoint of like he's in that location. That's not how it works, George. Okay? I guess he thinks it is. And so he wants all that stuff, and it's just like, this is such an invasion of privacy, right? He really wants to find out who Western Mass Turtle Girl is so he can sue. I don't know who she is. right? She's not one of my bigger contributors. She hasn't done anything in a long time, right? She was on for she came around the Dartmouth Yoga Poon stuff, right here and there. How it works is a lot of times these people message anonymously, right? They create fake email accounts or, email accounts that don't use their name, burner accounts, if you will, and they message and say, I'm interested in blogging, and we write back and say, send us a sample, and if we like it, we're like, you're in. We take that email, and we give it admin access on the page, and then you can publish. So it's like Facebook in a way, right? Like in Facebook, you sign up, or any chat forum, right? If you want to join a forum that's out there, I don't know, Northeast Shooters or something like that, or Mass Cops, right? You can't just get in. You got to message the guy, the administrator, and then they'll let you in, right? They'll be like, okay, here's a username created. That's essentially what the bloggers are. Turtleboy is not a publisher, in my opinion. It's a platform like Facebook or Twitter where people can create content, but I didn't create it. I just host the platform and I give people the voice. And I don't want to know who they are, right? It's none of my business who you are. I'm not the cops, right? This is a free speech forum. I believe anonymity enables people to say the truth. And that's why I value it very much. And that's why the whole business model has worked up until this point, right? Business was pretty good into 2017. That was my year, right? Because I used to do advertising with like local businesses, right? Like I would go and knock on doors when I first started doing this. I quit teaching. I went down to the Canal District and I just went to all the businesses and I'm like, hey, I'm Turtleboy. I'm from Turtleboy Sports. Here's my card. You interested in advertising on the blog? Oh, you should have seen all the positive things I got. I got so many yeses right away. I had 20 advertisers within like a couple months. It was great. But those pay flat rates, and in order to do that, I got to be a salesman, and I got to make sure things are good with them. And I'm not that guy. I'm not a salesman. I'm a content guy. I'm a website guy, right? That's what I'm good at, is building up a successful website. So, I wanted to go over to another model, which is the ad network model, in which a third party puts the ads on my site, and they act as the intermediary between me and the companies. Right? Like Coca-Cola, places like that. So I'm like, yeah, that works a lot better because they pay per page view. So the more views you get in, the more money you make. So now I'm incentivized to create good content that gets lots of views, if that makes sense. And I'm also able to hire more bloggers. And I can incentivize them to create more and better content because the more page views they get, the more money they make. Right? I was making about $4 for every 1,000 page views that I brought in. And I would pay them $2 each. So I make 50, you make 50. Right? And life was good. Sasha, or Turtle Girl, was making, at the time, in 2017, like $2,000 a month for a part-time job. Not even a part-time job. She would write like 20, 30 blogs a month tops. Not even every day. How easy is that? So life was really good in 2017. In April, I probably brought in like, I don't know, just in cash brought in like $15,000. Obviously, you got to pay. I got a lot of hosting costs. I got to pay out the bloggers and stuff like that. But I'm like looking at this and it's growing, right? It's growing, and I'm like, I can make a nice living off this. This is going to be my future. Life is good. This is a legitimate business, etc. We're entertaining. We're growing, etc. Then the Facebook thing happened. Now, with Facebook going down, I look back at that. That's by far the least of my problems, Facebook and Twitter. I don't give a shit about them. They've affected my business, yes, but not nearly as much as other factors, right? Like our traffic now is just as big as it was in 2017. But we're making a fraction of the cash though. Why? Because of the ad networks, because we've been blacklisted by Google AdSense and stuff like that. And I don't have a salesman to go out and get local things. So long story short, here's what I need, all right? This is the call to action, right? The attorney. Right, we need somebody who believes adamantly in free speech and is hungry. Right, like Margaret's hungry for this. Right, we could use because I can't afford. They sued the company, so I'm not gonna lie. I cannot. If Margaret wasn't doing this, I would not be able to pay for an attorney, and they would get a default judgment, and that would be the end of Turtleboy Sports. I would have to declare bankruptcy, and that would be the end of the blog. So that and he would essentially win that with a frivolous lawsuit that had no chance of passing if I had representation. right? I need a salesman. I need a guy from anywhere. Regionally would be better, right? Like, so we have a growing audience. In the last year, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, and Connecticut have doubled. Even like New York, but mostly in the city. So these are new markets, right? Because we have large and growing audiences in these places. So if you are interested in working like 10 hours a week and getting some side cash, right? And you have any background in sales, or you don't have a background in sales. Sales is something you can pick up, right? Contact me, right? What I'll do is I'll give you our media kit that has like all the advertising prices. There are a lot of different ways you can advertise on Turtleboy. You can have banner ads. You can have the sponsored podcast. I can write you a promotional blog for your company. There's a bunch of different ways to do this, right? And what better, advertising is all about being seen, right? You just want to be seen. Eyeballs. We got more eyeballs than anyone. That's the sell right there. And people love Turtleboy. Whether or not they want to admit it, whether or not they have it in them, everybody likes this stuff. The only people who don't like it are terrible. Like, that's it. No, the only people who don't like it are the ones that featured on it, let's be honest. And people who, even them, a lot of them like it too. Like, a lot of ratchets that have been featured on Turtleboy, like Scopa likes Turtleboy. I don't care what you guys say. Michael Scopa, is that his name? Tom Scopa, whatever his name is. Vanilla Lice, he likes Turtleboy. People like that like it. So, it's an easy sell, right? And you can make a good commission. It would be all commission-based. But, message me, right? If you're living in Fall River, you're living in the South Shore, you're living up in, even New Hampshire and stuff like that. Keep in mind, there's going to be an election next year. New Hampshire is one of the most important states in the country for swing states. This is prime real estate, man, to get your stuff out there if you want to be seen. So that's what we need for that. Another option, local businesses. If you own a local business, I know a lot of businesses are like afraid, and I've talked to some people about it, and they're like, well, what if we get a phone call? So what? Who cares if you get a phone call? It'll be a pain in the ass for like 2 days, right? And then they'll get tired about it and they'll move on to the next thing. But we will send you, every time that happens, every time Maria's Fine Jewelry, right, or Pepe's Restaurant or Benny's Cafe got harassed by these people, I would write a blog about it. And I would say, everybody go down there. I would send 5 t-shirts down there. And I'd say the first 5 Turtle Riders that go down there and buy a t-shirt or buy something from the store, free t-shirt, right? That's what I'm going to do for you. No, you think Worcester Magazine does that? You think advertising in the Boston Globe or Facebook, they're going to do that for you? No. That's the kind of personal touch you can only get from Turtleboy, all right? Other things we can use, donations. And I want to take a minute. I want to take a minute to tell you people how much I love you and appreciate you, because I am blown away by the amount of donations that came in after like 3:45 today when this blog was published. It was immediate. It was fast. I haven't even had time to look at them about how much they are. And I'm going to make a list and compile it and thank each and every one of you, because without you people, none of this is possible. Because I know you guys are working class people. That's the Turtleboy audience is very good looking, and it's also very blue collar. All right, we're not rich folk, right? We're regular people. And for you guys to be like, I'm going to donate my hard-earned money to this. Everybody works here. None of this is welfare money. This is all legitimate working people money. All right? And you all donated to it. And I can't thank you enough. Like, I wanted to cry when I read that. Like, stuff like that rejuvenates me on a tough day. I've had a bad day today. Bad last 48 hours. I'm depressed, right? Because I'm like looking at it like, am I going to have to give this up? Like, this is it? This is the end of Turtleboy, huh? Like, this fucking sucks. I'm going to let a lot of people down with this. The bad guys get to win. This is terrible. Terrible. And then I write a blog like this, and it's amazing. I'm blown away by I wouldn't call it generosity, because it's not you being generous. It's you investing in something that you want to see continue. A lot of people say, oh, well, you're a hypocrite because you make fun of GoFundMe scams and whatever. This isn't a GoFundMe, right? This is you offering, voluntarily paying for something that you would like to see continue. And if you don't donate, a lot of people comment today, they're like, no, it's too much, whatever. Like that's the free market. That's your right. You can still come. I don't care. I'm not going to yell at you for that. You're welcome here too, right? And to me, it's just a free market, right? Like if in a free market, if this was something worth keeping, if this is something that has value, then people will pay for it. People will donate to it, right? And if it's not, if people aren't willing to part with money for it, then what's it worth? It's worth nothing, you know? And to me, when I got all of those donations today, I'm like, this is worth something, right? Because this is something people believe in. And I don't want to keep doing that. I hate it so much, man. In 2017, I never thought this would happen ever. A donation button. Give me a break. But it is what it is. We're not the only ones doing it. Dave Rubin does it. The whole IDW does it. I pay $10 a month to the Daily Wire to bench. You know why? Because I like his brand of young conservatism. I like the people that he hires. I like Matt Walsh. I like Michael Knowles. I like Andrew Klavan. I like Cassie Dillon. I like these people, right? And I want to read the news from them, right? I don't want to read it from Fox News. Fox News is too corporate for me. Like it is. Like it's right-wing news, but it's too corporate. I don't want to read The Blaze. I don't want to read Glenn Beck's trash. I don't want to go to the Daily Caller. I want to go to the Daily Wire, right? And so I pay $10 a month to do that. Now, I could read it for free, right? I certainly could. And Ben Shapiro's rich, so what does he need my $10 for? It doesn't matter. I'm just contributing to something that I like, right? And I appreciate you all doing the same thing. That's how you view this. This is you contributing to something that you like, all right? Another option is the ad-free package, right? And a lot of you are using it. And like, you know, it's a lot faster that way. And a lot of people are saying, well, some guy on there was saying today, a troll was saying, well, $10, that's too much. That's too much. Well, first of all, I highly doubt anybody who purchases the ad-free package is doing so because of the ads. I think most people who donate $10 a month, they enjoy not having the ads, but it's not worth it, right? Like, you know, it's like it is what it is. It's not like you're like this is worth. No, you're doing it because you want to support the blog. And what's $10 a month? You know? You could steal $10 a month from me out of my bank account, and I would not notice. I honestly wouldn't. So, yeah, that's that. So we really appreciate that. And lastly, and this is a little far off, but I'm looking for an investor, man. Investor. All right. I want somebody who is creative, entrepreneurial, and loves Turtleboy, and looks at this thing and is like, this is a $1 million idea. And I get that a lot from people. People always tell me, you're sitting on a gold mine, man. I'm like, yeah, people tell me all that, but I don't know what the hell I'm doing, man. I'm just a content guy. I'm a good content guy. I'm good at creating a website that entertains people. That's my specialty. What I'm not good at is business. I couldn't have survived I couldn't have got my MBA. I would have been bored to death with it. I'm just not that guy. But a lot of people are. And what I have here at my disposal is a website. It's more than just a website. You know, it's a YouTube channel. It's all these things, right? It's a podcast. It's all these things. And I have that. And I have the best fans in the world. It doesn't get any better than you people. And I want somebody to look at that. And I know somebody might look at that and say, man, he's not doing this, you know, or he could be doing this. I don't know what this is. I'm not that guy to know what this is. I'm that guy who knows what good content is. So that's one thing I would definitely be looking for, an investor. And I want to make it clear, I am willing to give up more than 50% of the company, right? I'm willing to 51, 49, whatever. I'm willing to, okay? Because I understand an investor, if they put their money in, they would want control, control over it, and that's fine, right? We would have to work on an agreement. It would be somewhat similar to what Barstool did, but I'm not going to become Barstool. Don't get that wrong, right? Barstool sold out completely. Sold out. It sucks now. Largely because Prez was the content guy, and now he doesn't create content. He just eats pizza. That's it. That's his content now. And I will not let that happen to this blog, right? I think it's way too important for that, what we do. And so I would be looking to have like somebody who sees this thing and it's like, man, 75,000 people a day go to that. What happens if we get that to 200,000 people a day? Think of what we could do with that. Think of we could have events. We could have, instead of just making money via advertising, like we can create revenue by doing this, whatever. I don't know what this is, but somebody out there is. When Barstool sold out to the Churning Group, right, their website revolutionized. The quality of the content might have gone down, but the quality of the layout has improved drastically, right? It looks sharp and professional on their website now. And they do all types of events. They have I don't buy into any of it, but people do. And that's what I'd be looking to do, is just completely rebrand this thing, if you will. And, make it, and I'm willing, and a lot of people have rightfully pointed out, right, that, well, it's probably harder to sell because you call people fupa slots and stuff. I agree. I don't doubt that. And that's the conundrum we're in here, because we built an audience by calling people fupa slots, but it's hard to monetize because we call people fupa slots, right? However, I just feel like moving forward, for the blog to gain the legitimacy, we got to do away with the fupa slot stuff. And that doesn't mean we're selling out. It's just like, it's harder to appeal to a more legitimate audience. Like, people see it and they're like, fupa slots, I'm not reading that. What the hell is that? And thus the birth of tbdailynews.com. That's what TB Daily News is. TB Daily News is the same kind of content that Turtleboy Sports has, except we don't do the ratchet stripper selling her food stamps, right? We do, on TB Daily News, the content that goes on there is stuff that's in the news, the news that we investigate, stuff like that. And it's got a more professional, I think it's a sharper looking site, and the goal of TB Daily News is to not get blacklisted by Google AdSense, so that I can make the same rate I was previously making on Turtleboy. Turtleboy can still be the ratchet stuff. See what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? There can be light Turtleboy and old school Turtleboy, and please everyone that way. And they can all be owned by the same company, etc. And so I'm down for new ideas, man. I'm always looking for new ideas. I love Turtleboy. This is my baby. It's the only thing I like more than this is my family and my house. That's about it. That's the only things I'm not willing to give up for this. All right. And because, I would have to eventually. Like, if I had to choose between my family and Turtleboy, I got to pick my family. I think most of us, that'd be freaking nuts, right? You guys would be like, this guy's a fucking nut job, right? I like the blog and all, but geez Louise. So, anyway, those are the things I need. And, man, without you people, none of this is possible. Give yourselves a round of applause, man. This is all you guys out there, all right? I graciously appreciate that. I cannot thank you enough from the bottom of my heart for what you people did today and how you came together, all right? We love you. We love you, man. So, I'm going to open it up to questions now. Any questions you guys have, let me know in the comments. I'll answer as many as I can. Let's see. Have you gotten AdSense for TB Daily News? Yes, I have. I have. And so, but the problem is, so yesterday, for instance, on TB Daily News, I had 5,000 visitors. On Turtleboy Sports, I had 90,000 visitors yesterday. So, the $5 makes a much higher rate per view than the 90,000. I made more money yesterday on a page with 5,000 page views than I made on a page with 90,000 page views. That's basically Turtleboy Sports. The blog does not make money. It has to make money in different ways besides advertising, essentially. So that's where we are, yes. What else are people asking? I'm sure Barstool gets sued as well. That's a good point. And the difference, and I'm sure the Telegram and all these places get sued all the time. But they make so much money that they just have teams of lawyers at their disposal. I'm the mom and pop blog of the internet. I can't be going for it, right? This business model cannot work. It can't work, right? It's just not going to happen. Margaret Milliken can't be the savior. It can't be the way it is. So, but in order to have that nest egg, in order to be able to pay for an attorney, like Tara Winterhalter and Ritual Studio, they've probably spent $50,000 with this George Leontine lawsuit. $50,000. but I'm sure she sells a lot of yoga over there. So, you know, she can afford it. What else are people asking? Worcester needs a Turtleboy drink and beer named after them. You got that right. Let's see. Did you say Tuesday you were running for some kind of public office? Not that I'm aware of. I don't think so. You know. Let's see. Getting rid of the Fupaslaw stuff equals Barstool. Well, I would be getting rid of the Fupaslaw stuff on TB Daily News. See what I'm saying? And the most important thing that these people catch is the title. You can still write Fupaslaw within the article itself. Nobody reads the article. Everybody sees the headline. So why not just clean up the titles a little bit? Same thing, you know. So I don't think it's quite the same thing as Barstool. The difference between Barstool is they're actually afraid to take controversial takes like they used to. He built his brand being controversial, right? Like saying outrageous things about like Tom Brady's kid's dick, right? That was like his most famous thing he's ever done. Brady's kid has a howitzer, and it got him in trouble. But it was edgy. People like that stuff, right? Because it's funny. And yeah. But they would never do anything like that anymore. Now it's just like when the Adam Jones thing happened 2 years ago and he lied about being called the N-word, the Barstool blogs were like, this is wrong. Hate speech is bad. It's like, no. We're never going to do that. Ever. We can communicate our same point without being just outrageous for the purpose of being outrageous. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. All right. What else are people saying? Why not set a meet to discuss? What do you mean by that, Chris? You're going to have to explain it to me. What else are people saying? Let's see. Clean site with free ads, uncensored paywall. Yeah. What else are people saying? Did the judge rule yet on the motion to get your computer and phone yet? No, it was just a hearing today. Just a hearing. Did you hear the recent Worcester City meeting? They brought up restoring the Turtleboy statue and had to say, not that Turtleboy. No, I did not hear that. I knew they were trying to restore the statue and make it have water come out of it again, but yeah. Let's see. Wouldn't you want Turtleboy name for the real stories instead of TV news? Sounds backwards. Well, you know, that's what the TB stands for, though, you know? Turtleboy. It's just... Keep in mind, when I'm like trying to sell this to people too, it's just like when I tell them, like, where are you from? Like when I was in CPAC and they're like, what media outlet are you from? I'm like, Turtleboy Sports. Like, it sounds like a joke. You know, if I say TB News, they're like, sure, sounds legit to me. TB News. You know, what else are people saying? Yeah. Have TBS as exclusive content for subscriptions. Yeah, I mean, then you're doing the whole Barstool Gold thing if you do that. So I have to think about that because I want the good content to be the stuff that everybody gets to read, you know? And by having exclusive content, it's like, what's the exclusive content going to be? I'm down for ideas. If you have ideas about like exclusive content that we could put, you know, on a Patreon thing or something like that, I'm game for ideas. I just don't know what that would be. Can you read the direct domain so all traffic goes to the new one? That's a great question, and I asked my ad guy about that. He goes, Google finds out about that real quick when you do that. So no, you cannot do that. And that's what Laura's asking too. Could you transfer Turtleboy Sports to another domain and get AdSense again? No, they know that trick, and my guy estimated that they would have caught on to that in about a day or two. So, let's see what else are people saying. I got you now. Oh, thanks, Mega Motors. I appreciate that, brother. Do a meetup. A bunch of us have resources, but don't want our names in public. What do you mean? What's a meetup exactly? Like, if we all meet up? Well, yeah, I'm interested, but I just don't know exactly what that means. Let's see. Do white girl voice. Yeah. It's why I have my real name on it. Do a blog every day about the new site. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to. I try to put new content on the new site every single day because I'm trying to push more and more people to that site. You know, and I will. I'm going to be very vocal about it. I like that. Yay for Howie Carr, and that's another thing I want to do. I want to get on TV, man. This thing I need to be on TV. I don't care how it's done. So I need to be more proactive. I just need to. The whole purpose of writing the book was so I could put a face to this. You know. To be out there more. because that makes it a lot easier to be taken seriously. And so that's another thing I want to do more often. Just keep infiltrating and making connections with powerful people like that who can make a difference. Yeah, let's see what else people are saying. I need to run for office. Come on, don't forget what state you're in. I'm in Massachusetts. You think I could ever get elected in Massachusetts? Are you guys high? Come on. I mean, I live in Holden. Holden was like 51-49 for Elizabeth Warren. So we're like a middle town, right? I used to live in Worcester. Cities are overwhelmingly liberal. Now, I'll admit right now, like I used to identify as like, left leaning, and then I'm a centrist. Then after a while, I'm like, why am I fighting this? Who am I kidding? I'm conservative. Like, what am I liberal about anymore? These people have driven me so far to the right. Because the people who attack me are never Trump supporters, are they? They're never Trump supporters. They're always people who hate Trump. They're always Bernie bros. Those are the ones attacking me. So what choice do I have? So if I ran as a Republican, you can't get elected. We haven't had a Republican congressman in Massachusetts since 1996. So, yeah. I wish I could. Maybe if I lived in a swing state. But I don't think it's possible. I would love to run for office. Don't get me wrong. What about a GoFundMe for free speech? I'd have to hear more about that idea. Let's see. Will YouTube sponsor podcasts? Yeah, but they take like a huge cut of it. But I am looking. That's another thing I could sell is, the Garage Door podcast has his thing ran out. I got to contact Chris about it, see if he's still interested. But we could have multiple sponsors on here, man. We got a good size audience for these things. Thousands of people download these. So it's prime selling space if people are interested in that. What else are people saying? Let's see. Pitch it to cable. Yeah. Uncle, not inch. Oh, sorry. Some of us turtle risers use fake names. We wear name tags with our nom de plume. Oh, I see what you're saying. Like at a bar or something. I would do something like that. Did the speaking engagement get you any leads? Yeah, I mean, I introduced some people. A guy wants me to talk at his college, to his class, stuff like that. Like, I'm down to do anything, man, just to be out there. I don't care how small it is, whatever. Let's see. Maybe Gaffney still wants to buy the blog. I know, seriously. He'd ruin it. Screw him. I don't even want to give that guy attention anymore. I remember back in 15, 16, you were still saying you lean left. I never believed. I did lean left, I think, at the time on some stuff. I was just in denial. I was in denial about what the left had become, I still am. I don't get it. Like, you're about what? Like, we've been over this before. You want the Boston Marathon terrorists to vote? That's the left, though? You want me, who paid all my student loans back, sacrificed in order to do so, didn't buy things I could have, held off on home ownership, all that stuff, so I could get my loans paid back. And now you want me to pay for your useless gen ed degree from Hampshire College. No. If that's what the left is, I'm out. Kirk podcast details. So, Kirk Minahan, after I wrote this blog today, he texted me, and we've been talking about going on the podcast for a while, but we didn't have like a topic in mind. And I wanted to go on with Portnoy and him. That's what because I wanted to call him out, because he goes on. I hate how Barstool still masquerades as like the bad boy of the internet, and I wanted to call him out, but whatever. And then Kirk, it never happened, so he messaged me after this, and he's like, come on Tuesday. So I'm going on his podcast Tuesday. We're going to be talking about this issue, because Kirk and I are kind of like kindred spirits in that we've both been punished, if you will. Or we both found out the hard way what happens when you do not comply with the demands of an authoritarian free speech mob, right? Politically correct, woke, intersectional, social justice mob. When you don't give in to their demands and you have the audacity to continue to say things that you believe are true, you get punished for it. And so I'm really looking forward to that podcast with Kirk on Tuesday. So, yeah, so let's see. Anything else you guys got here? My politics is weird. My politics is pretty simple, Laura. The Boston Marathon bomber can't vote. That's it. I like unions. I support unions, unless they're like going after Ray Bork. I'm like, I'm left on. I thought I was left on a lot of things. I guess I'm against the death penalty. I don't really believe in that. I struggle with the death penalty, so that counts. I like pot. I've liked pot for a long time. That tends to be a left-leaning issue, although the right has seemed to embrace it now. I've been in favor of gay marriage before it was cool, but again, gay marriage is another issue that the right seems to have embraced as well. So, like all these issues that would qualify me as a liberal previously, the right doesn't really oppose it like they used to. See what I'm saying? The only thing that I'm adamantly liberal about is my support for teachers' unions because I was a teacher. I 1,000% support public schools. I'm against charter schools. I think they are a drain. I don't believe in them at all. And so those are the things. But you never hear liberals talk. If liberals just talked about teachers' unions and pot, they'd be a lot cooler. You know what I mean? Instead of talking about giving the Tsarnaev brothers voting rights. That's not cool. Pot in public education is cool. But they don't do that. So that's my take on that. Oh, you were talking as a country. My bad. I thought you were talking about me personally. Yeah, it does. I think it should come out on Tuesday, Chris, but I'm not 1,000% sure. Yeah, I think a lot of people do listen to Kirk's podcast because Kirk is like a golden god, with the free speech crew because he literally gave it all up for free speech. Anything else here? If you're a felon, yeah. Let's see. Woonsocket teachers are getting fucked. Yeah, I mean, I especially feel for teachers that work in shitholes like Woonsocket, in Central Falls, in places like that. Because their jobs are infinitely harder than my job at Shepherd Hill, which was a cakewalk. It wasn't easy. It was a cakewalk compared to working in Worcester. Are you kidding me? Let's be honest. It's a completely different population, right? You have kids coming from structured homes in these towns. You don't get that a lot in Worcester, right? And it's got nothing to do with race and everything to do with home life and socioeconomic status. And so, yeah, of course I support public school teachers. Do you think the government should be teaching children? I think the government should have public schools. Absolutely. I don't think they should be brainwashing kids with their politics. And if you've listened to this stuff before or read my book, then you know that I never once infused politics into any of my lectures or lessons or anything like that. I presented the facts and let kids debate it amongst themselves. We had some riveting debates. For the 2008 election, I gave them like a sheet of the issues and made them pick how they felt about each issue. And then we went to the computer lab and we went on, the internet, and they had to research which one McCain liked and which one Obama liked. And then they had to do a tally, who they liked more, and they weighted it. It was a cool lesson that we did on that. And, there it is what it is. It's not my job to tell you who to vote for. It's my job to present the facts to you, and then you make that decision. So, yeah, I definitely think the public schools, I think that public schools are an absolute necessity, right? As long as they're not pushing personal politics. It benefits society to have more well-educated people. That's how we beat the Soviets, man. That was a big reason we won the Cold War, is America invested in education, right? Our nerds were inferior to their nerds initially, right? They put Sputnik up before we did. That was a real wake-up call when Sputnik went up in 1957. We're like, we need to get our nerd game on. And John F. Kennedy and Dwight Eisenhower invested heavily in public education. And next thing you know, who got on the moon first? We did. So suck on that, Russia. How do you like that? Huh? Yeah. So I definitely think it's a public benefit to have public education. What else are people saying? Work to rule. Yeah, I mean, I like work to rule. I was a big supporter of that. Like, work to rule means that, like, when teachers can't go on strike legally, and it's, like, unethical for teachers to go on strike. So what you do is, if the day starts, if you're contracted to work from 7:15 to 2 o'clock, you work from 7:15 to 2 o'clock. You don't stay after for extra help. You don't coach. You don't get there early. That's it. You work the hours that they're paying you to work and nothing more. And that sends a lesson real quick. That, like, we go the extra mile. Without us, this is what it's like. So I got no problem with work to rule stuff. I think teachers should teach children. Definitely agree with that. You want to try and give Joe Rogan your book? Of course I want to try to give Joe Rogan my book. People like, I'd love to give Tucker Carlson. I'd love to give Ben Shapiro. A lot of these people my book. I gave, but it's hard. How do I meet them? You got their phone number? I wish I could call them, What else are people saying? Any other questions? And how many kids have DCF? Rogan, well, yeah, Rogan's great. I mean, he's got the best podcast ever. It's great. Yeah, I mean, like I said, they've had Tim Pool on, like Celtic Tim said, and Sargon. They are way bigger, right? But, those guys are specific to talk about, tech censorship, and nobody's better than Tim Pool at that, right? But my story is very original, the whole teaching background and fighting for free speech, and nobody has the story that I have, right? About, like, death threats, a blog called Turtleboy, Buffalo, Mike Gaffney, Kevin Lynch. I mean, the list goes on and on. Nobody's got a resume like that. I have a very interesting story to tell. All right, anything? What else we got here? I related most with Lion Ted last election, doing one of those candidate matchup programs. Yeah, Lion Ted's grown on me a lot. All right, any more questions before we call it a night? If you can't teach well, you're not allowed to teach. I don't disagree with that. If I had kids, they'd be homeschooled. I mean, I like the social environment of public schools, personally. I loved going to school every day. Not even love it. I hated going to class, but I love the social aspects of it as a kid. Wouldn't change it for anything. Want to talk about negative? You're trying to get someone to go to AC? Oh, no. Oh, sorry about that. It's a private conversation. All right. So, anyway, and yeah, I mean, Laura's from the United Kingdom. And, I see what's going on in Europe. Right? And there are a lot, it's scary that what happens when you don't have a First Amendment, right? Like, you can be jailed or arrested for hate speech in Germany and stuff like that. It doesn't happen in America, and that's a great thing. No one should be arrested for speech. And speech is important, man, and they would like to. George Leontire would like to have me arrested, I'm sure. But thankfully, we have the Constitution here, and we have you people, and couldn't do it without you, and God bless you guys. And I'm going to call it a night now. And we will talk to you guys this weekend for the live show. All right? Peace to all riders. Thanks for coming. The hell?